Hello there, welcome, come on in. So what we're talking about today is how to literally bring in that future version of ourselves that we can feel her, we can feel him. I want you by the end of this video to feel like you're ready to just spill out all of your juice and all of your passion and your joy and everything that's inside of you, because if you landed on this video, then you are someone who is meant to inspire, to motivate. You have a big light inside of you. I want to share a personal story, and I want to talk about the power of just taking tiny steps and building one little tiny habit at a time. And I'm talking like teeny little tiny habit at a time that almost feels like you're not even doing anything. And so it might be difficult because you have these big visions, you're a visionary, so that you can sense what your entire life could look like when it's at its peak, right? But yet here you are right now, you're not fully in the life that you envision for yourself or you want for yourself. So let's break this down into tiny little steps. I created a really awesome worksheet for this video. It might not sound sexy, but it actually really is very sexy. Sexy people download this workbook and do this work because it makes you sexier. You are going to be a sexy, magnetic individual because of your habits, because of your patterns, because of the small little tiny things that you do each day that are going to make you more magnetic, make you more sexy. Essentially, what you want to do is remember that you're a powerful creator and that you are creating your life every single day. At every single moment, you're creating your life. Where you are in your life right now is a result of what you've created with your thoughts, your actions, what you've done like over the course of your life right now, each day, what you've chosen to do. If you want something different, then you want to find out what it is that you're thinking and doing, and what are your habits and what are your patterns that are thus creating your life. So this is essentially taking inventory, and smart, sexy people do this work. And so I created a workbook that I myself, I've done this. I make sure that I'm changing and tweaking and forming tiny little new habits, thus creating a better life for myself, more money, better relationships. I just moved into this fantastic home. I live like literally not even a mile from the ocean. I'm a full-time coach and a full-time artist and literally living like my dream life. And this just didn't like happen. It's because of the action steps that I took. It's because of the work that I do. And so I created this workbook for anyone who wants to download it and do this work. It's powerful. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the size of your dreams, if you're feeling frustrated because you keep falling back into like old patterns and you're just not moving forward in the way that you wish that you were moving forward, and you are thinking that you have to just, for instance, I'll give you an example. You have to quit drinking and you need to just do it all overnight, and you need to change your whole entire life and change everything. And it's like very black and white thinking. Now, yes, you could choose to stop drinking. I chose to stop drinking 20 years ago, thinking that you're gonna do this massive, unbelievable change, like lose all this weight in 1 week or whatever, start this business and it's gonna start making money instantaneously. Like, we have to think in smaller steps. When I was really struggling, I was really struggling with food and alcohol. Like, I almost died from having such severe addiction and being in such a severe eating disorder. And I wasn't exactly sure what to do. And so I needed to surrender to the fact that, wow, I left up to my own devices. And as smart as I feel like I am, I just couldn't figure out how to change this part of my life. And so I prayed, and some people came into my life and they shared that they were in this program and they made these changes in their life, and they developed new habits and they developed new patterns and they developed a new way of thinking. This isn't necessarily the way that they presented it, but this is essentially what was happening at the time. And so prior to getting into this program, my habits were to starve myself in the morning and then eat breakfast and then end up binging and then purging up my food and then swearing I was not going to do that again, but then eating lunch and then panicking that I ate too much and then binging and then purging up my food again. And then I would get to the nighttime and then I would start drinking and be like, okay, I'm not gonna be hungover tomorrow. But like every single night I would end up drinking too much and then feeling hungover, and it was just on repeat. And I just kept doing this over, and I would make promises to myself and I just didn't keep them. And it was causing a lot of shame and deteriorating any kind of self-trust, which I really had zero self-trust. And so it was harping on me big time. It was sucking my soul, and it really just did not feel good. So I prayed, and thus these people came into my life, and they presented a whole new way of taking these little tiny action steps. And thus that was going to change my life. And I just didn't really at first connect to it. It was like, I don't really want to go buy a food scale and put all my food on a scale and weigh it. Like, I don't want to write my food down at night and plan out what I'm going to eat that next day and then call someone and just be held accountable to that. I don't want to do that. That feels, how is that going to help me? But at that point in my life, I was so desperate that I became very willing to do anything. And so I started to develop these tiny little habits. And I became a person who wrote down their food every single night to the ounce. And I still remember what I would write down. It would be 8 ounces of non-fat plain Greek yogurt, 1 ounce of oatmeal, and 6 ounces of fruit. And that is what I would eat for breakfast. And then for lunch, I would have 4 ounces of a cooked protein, like chicken or ground beef or something. I'd have 6 ounces of some kind of vegetable, like let's say steamed broccoli. And I would have 4 ounces of some kind of a grain. So that would be like maybe 4 ounces of rice or 4 ounces of yams. And then I would have 6 ounces of a salad. And I would have 1 tablespoon of olive oil and 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. And this is literally what I ate for 9.5 years. I also had dinner. I had no snacks. I didn't drink anything but water. And I ate at certain times during the day. I didn't have anything other than those things that I listed. Like, I would have just whole foods, vegetables, salad, grains, protein, non-fat Greek yogurt, oatmeal, and I never had a piece of pizza or cracker or chocolate or anything for 9.5 years. And this was a habit that I developed, and it thus changed my identity, and it changed my way of thinking, and it changed my habits. It changed my life. Now, I don't do this anymore. I did this for 9.5 years. That was 11 years ago. So for 11 years now, I haven't been doing that. I've learned how to have a different habit where I've learned how to eat intuitively. I now know what a portion of 4 ounces of a protein looks like. That's a healthy portion of a protein. I waited for so long that I now can just, I just know. I don't eyeball things and say, oh, that's 4 ounces. I just now know what is a good, what I've developed a habit of what makes a good lunch. Like for instance, today I had some white fish, some green beans, some broccoli, and some roasted potatoes. And that was my meal. I didn't weigh any of it. I didn't eyeball it. I don't care. I don't have any clue like how much of it I ate. But what I ate felt nourishing and good, and it was appropriate. I didn't feel too full, and I didn't feel too hungry. In fact, after I got done my meal, which I posted on Instagram, I then had a dessert because I was still hungry, and I had a rice cake with peanut butter and honey on it, and I didn't weigh any of that. I didn't put like a tablespoon of peanut butter on my rice cake. I just ate what I wanted to eat until it felt nourishing. So this was a way that I formed a new habit, and it created an identity for me. It created a new identity because it was like, wow, I am no longer someone who can't control herself. I'm no longer someone who makes these big promises to myself and then I don't follow through. I actually wrote my food down, I committed it to someone, and then I actually followed through. I did this day after day after day after day for 9.5 years. I started very slowly to build a self-trust, a self-confidence, a trust in a higher power, a trust in just in life. And it took some time for sure. And then when it came time, for some people, they don't have to do something so extreme. I was literally on death's doorstep. Like, it was bad. And it, was 9.5 years. And then it came time for me to let go of these, rigid kind of things that I was doing. I say rigid just because literally I did not ever go over the ounce that I was committing. Like, if it was 4 ounces of rice and if it went 4.1, I was taking that grain of rice off and I made sure that it was zeroed out to like 4.0. Like, I did not deviate from 4.0. And then came a time in my life where I developed a new habit of not tracking my food in that way and learning how to eat intuitively. And that took time so that I could build an additional identity of an even deeper self-trust, that I could come to the wisdom of my own body that God created in me, that I know how to feel full and how to feel hungry and how to stop when I'm full. And these were things that I did not believe that I could ever tackle. And I was able to give myself an experience to rewrite that thinking and now give myself a belief and also an experience of being a woman who's able to live like this. And it felt so good. It brought back self-respect and dignity and integrity, and I was able to make my life so much more manageable. My credit score, when I first came into recovery when I was 29 years old, I'm now 50, I had a credit score of 535 because not only was my life unmanageable in terms of food and choices with food, but like with money too. And I was just all over the place. And I really didn't know how to change it. And that brings me to the next point, which is like, we have to stop looking at the giant mountain in front of us. When I looked at just how impossible this felt, like, how would I ever be able to tackle this mountain? There's just no way. It was like, what can I do right now? What is the low-hanging fruit? What is the one thing that I can do? What is that one little thing in front of me? And I prayed my butt off, and I did not think that the low-hanging fruit was going to be this food addiction program that I ended up going into, where I weighed and measured my food and had a sponsor and all that. And this was all free, by the way. Like, instead of having to pay millions of thousands of dollars to go into some inpatient program, I'm not knocking any of those, but like, I ended up going into a 12-step program and not having to pay any money. It was all free. It was 12-step. If you're familiar with 12-step, it's sponsorship. It's all people just giving because they've been, essentially, they feel like they've been set free from, an addiction. And this program was a food addiction program. And so, yeah, I took that low-hanging fruit, that thing that I could do, and I didn't look at the mountain in front of me. I just looked at, okay, this is the little tiny step that I need to take right now. This is all I need to do, is like call my sponsor and talk to someone in that program and put my food on a scale and go to the grocery store and not buy the cake, and don't binge and purge your food today, just for like 1 hour, and surround yourself with a bunch of people that understand how hard this is. And it was really amazing to be able to shift my gaze off of the problem and put it onto the solution. But I didn't know the solution at the time. I searched for the solution for a long time. Little did I know that the solution was going to be something that was like so counterintuitive and nothing I could have ever come up with. I was like, this is not what I would have ever thought of for the solution. And this isn't necessarily the solution for everybody at all. I was such a reckless case. I was out of control. I was killing myself. And it was so bad. And I still showed up to work all the time. I still showed up to my responsibilities. I mean, other than facing a lot of like money situation stuff, I just was, I was not doing well. So I needed to have someone just kind of say, here are some habits that you're going to incorporate into your life, and you're going to learn how to slowly. It took 9.5 years for me. That's a long time when you think about it. When I came into this program that I'm talking about, I'm not in it anymore, but I did not think to myself, oh, I'm probably going to be doing this for 9.5 years. That is a long time to put your food on a scale 3 times a day. 3 meals a day I ate, and I put a plate on the scale and I weighed my food, and not one bit of food went into my mouth before it was weighed out and before it was committed to someone. And I had eyeballs on what I was eating. And I think that I had developed self-trust and an ability to be able to eat without the scale far before I actually felt ready. But it took me a long time to finally feel ready. And then after 9.5 years, life just kind of kicked me out. Like I don't know as though I was ever gonna leave. And there was like some certain circumstances, pretty powerful actually, that like basically said, okay, your time is up. Like, little do you know, but like, you're ready to go. You're ready to move on to the next level. But I felt like it was in alignment, and I felt like it was right, because there was just like so much peace about it. So yeah, the next point would be that your habits are going to reveal your future. So you're not necessarily going to change these things overnight. Often you don't. But you are going to be successful in certain areas of your life, with money, with relationships, with your health, with fitness, with creativity, with building that business, building that body, whatever it is that you are wanting to build, to create in your life. You are going to be successful with the habits that you form. I mean, if you've ever read the book Atomic Habits, this is something that many people have talked about, and it's so true. You have to. This is why I made this create. So my method that I work with people that I coach, it's called the Create Method. I'm an artist, and I'm all about creativity. I believe that everyone's creative. We were all created by the great creator, and we're all creative, and we can all create. We're all creating right now. You, me, we're all creating something. Right now I'm creating a video, and I created the Create Method, and I created this workbook. We're creating. What are you creating? Are you aware of what you're creating? Are you aware of what your habits are? Because sometimes we can have these things that are on autopilot, and we don't even think about it, and they might not actually be helping. We think they're helping, but they're not helping. And so I created this workbook so that you could, in a very fun, practical way, look at what your habits are and your patterns are, and really assess, are they helping? Are they creating the future version of yourself that you want to create? Are they creating success for yourself? And to not take every single one of them and think that we can like change everything overnight, but to take one little thing, one tiny little habit. For me, it was like, just put your food on a scale. That's it. Like, just put your food on a scale, and you don't have to worry about how things are going to change, and how are you going to tackle your money situation? How am I going to tackle all the things that were going on in my life back then? How is everything going to work out? How am I going to end up? I was at the time living in a complete shithole of an apartment. I was not living a life where I was like a full-time artist, like at all. I wasn't following my dreams at all. I wasn't doing anything in order to have any of that happen. I was literally just spinning my wheels. I was going nowhere. Like, I was literally going to end up, and I say this and it sounds dramatic, but like, I was literally probably going to end up dying of a heart attack, of alcoholism, liver disease. Like, it was bad for me. And so I didn't change all my habits overnight, but like, I changed one, and I started doing something different with my food, and I started calling a sponsor, and I started going to meetings, and then I started to go for walks, and then I started to just change little things. And then I made a phone call to the I downloaded my credit score, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a giant mountain. Talk about the mountain in front of you. And I was like, okay, I can't look at the mountain. I have to look at God and say, God, please help me. And I just tackled all of my bills. I repaid all my bills back. One of my giant bills that I had been avoiding, it got written off completely. A hospital bill from an emergency appendectomy that I had, that like I didn't even have health insurance back then, and I had to get emergency surgery or I was literally gonna die, and they wrote the entire thing off, which was amazing, which is crazy because I had been avoiding that bill for so many years, drinking over it, eating over it probably, and the whole time it could have had an easy solution if I would have just faced it. So you just choosing to face an area of your life and change one tiny habit, and then repeat it, and then repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And I'm talking like, well, what about this and that? Just do one little thing and repeat it for like 3 months. Don't then incorporate another one. I'm just taking 3 months as like a, I don't know, just throwing that number out there, but like get it ingrained in you. Like it was automatic for me. I would just get my scale, put it on the counter, get my plate, put it on the scale. I didn't even have to think about it. It was such a habit that when I finally left this food addiction program that I was in, it was like, oh my God, I'm just putting a plate on the cupboard now, on the counter now. I'm not putting my scale. Like it felt weird because it had become such a habit for me. Now, 11 years after, leaving that program, I don't even think about a scale. Like I haven't weighed myself. I haven't weighed my food. I don't count calories. Like I'm like, wow, I've developed new habits. I've developed a habit of just being able to understand what my body needs, right down to like, oh, I think I need more protein right now. I need more red meat. I need kale. Like I can really feel when my body needs what it needs. So I hope that this video encouraged you and is helping you in some way to break this down and to really have the courage. I know you're courageous because you're someone who listens to YouTube videos. You're someone who's wanting to like assess yourself and be introspective. And so do this as an exercise and have fun with it. To download this, it's a free habit reset guide. So you'll be able to identify your current habits and patterns. You're going to be able to identify which habits are actually shaping your identity, and are they shaping a future version of yourself that's successful in all these areas of your life. And it's a simple workbook that's going to help you make small changes that are going to lead to long-lasting transformation. And you can download it, and it's completely free. I just want to give this as a gift because this is a tool that I've actually used in my life. And when I first used it, it was like, wow. And what was helpful for me was to write down. So you'll see in the workbook, I section it into 3 different sections. So you're gonna have the habits that are not good. This would be for me: drinking, blacking out, overspending, not looking at my financial statement, like not looking at my bank account, not keeping track of where I'm spending. Like these are habits that are not good. Overeating, binging, whatever. Not going to the gym, not making my bed. Like I do make my bed every single day, but these would be like the habits that are not building a successful future version of myself. Okay, so those would be like in the category of the first category. And then you have the middle category, which would be more like, okay, if I go to a bar, I might not drink, but if I'm around alcohol, I might drink. So these are like the kind of like the middle habits that could lead to the not so good habits. They might not necessarily be that bad, but they might lead to habits that aren't that good, right? So if I'm constantly going to pizza parlors, I'm just gonna probably end up wanting to eat like a ton of pizza, and then I'm gonna feel heavy, and I might not go to the gym and do my workout. There's nothing wrong with going to a pizza parlor. There's nothing wrong with eating pizza, but it's like, where are those middle kind of habit things, those things that you're doing that might lead to action steps that might not actually create the successful version of yourself that you're wanting to create. And then the last category would be, these are the habits that we definitely want to keep doing. Like we We want to go for our walks, 10K steps a day at least. We want to go to the gym. We want to be eating healthy. We want to be connecting with people. We want to be creating every day. We want to be connecting with a higher power, with spirit every single day. So you can download this workbook for free. And yeah, just create your life with small decisions and small habits, and don't despise humble beginnings. Be okay with just doing things small little action steps. You can do extraordinary things with just ordinary faithfulness. So if this video has encouraged you at all, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs it. And until next time, keep creating every single day. And let me know how you went with the workbook. Let me know if you enjoyed it, if it helped you, how it helped you, and please share this with a friend that you think, maybe you could do this with a friend. Oh, and if you want to go through the Create method with me, then you can apply for coaching, and all of the links are in the description box below. Okay, I love you, bye.